Hey, what's up everybody? This is Boom Shaka Boxer, and wow, has it really been 2 months since I last made a video? Man, talk about life. So let's see. I've been studying for my professional exams. If anyone watching is trying to become an actuary, you know what I'm talking about. And also on the side, playing a little bit of Pokemon Go. All my friends are playing right now, including my coworkers, so I kinda can't just sit this one out, especially since I grew up with it. But enough about me, let's get back to World of Warships. So I'm playing the recently added Premium Tier 7 United States Cruiser Flint, and my gosh, this ship is pure unadulterated joy. Now I believe the current prerequisites for unlocking this ship was achieving rank 1 3 times. I could be wrong about that, I probably am, but whatever the requirements are, it's definitely something along the lines of being ridiculous. Moving along though, for those of you that do have the Atlanta, a couple of the key differences is that the Flint is equipped with smoke as well as the 9.2 km Mahan torpedoes, while sacrificing the wing turrets. Overall, this is probably a plus in terms of utility. What this translates to in terms of gameplay is that although the Flint can capitalize on a little bit more tactical decision making potential, on the strategic level it's still more or less the same class of ships, and you're going to want to stick to your role of being a cruiser. So we're playing in the tier 9 match in a tier 7 cruiser on Shadow Domination, and whenever we find ourselves in what seems as unfavorable odds, just take a step back and recall the basics. I'm still a cruiser, that's not going to change, and I'm still going to try to exploit as many early game favorable matchups as I can. That's not going to change. With that in mind, I try to position myself at an appropriate distance to the Kiev in case he needs help, while also maintaining some cover to negate line of sight by staying close to these islands. It's a game of cat and mouse, and in the early game, my job as a cruiser is not only one of positioning myself to support our DDs, but also making sure I deny enemy battleships easy shot opportunities once I'm detected. So we're getting some early game reads. There's at least one destroyer at C-cap, and of the 4 enemy battleships, 2 are spotted, with one being the Nagato at A flag. The Iowa at A is also in visual range now, and the last battleship is spotted on the minimap at C. So something you may have picked up is that I didn't mention the cruisers. A few reasons. Number 1, they don't have an early game favorable matchup against me. And number 2, it's not easy to consistently keep track of all 24 players on the map. There's definitely an endurance aspect to situational awareness, and so it's better to do what you can than to force yourself to do what you can't. In essence, prioritize your opportunities and threats, and only concern yourself with the consolation rewards when you have a chance. Bingo! I was just momentarily spotted, but because of my angles, it's enough data for me to triangulate on my first DD opportunity. The destroyer spotting me is on A flag through that small entrance between the 2 islands I just passed. At this point, we can see our North Carolina bowing north towards the slit between the islands, and this may be an opportunity that Lo Yang tries to capitalize on. Similarly, now that I'm no longer detected, I act on my intuition and also try to position myself to intercept a potential Lo Yang. Again, I'm momentarily spotted, but because of the layout of the terrain, I can easily triangulate that the destroyer in front of me is directly head on my ship.
It's a go.
And at a distance under 6 kilometers, the Lo Yang is forced to panic smoke. Something funny here, because of my muscle memory familiarity with smoke, I actually hit T accidentally for defensive AA fire, and then subsequently pressed Y for smoke. On review of the replay, there was actually very few benefits of a smoke here, but during the actual gameplay, I did so to try to deny the Mogami shot opportunities, not knowing he would not have a second salvo ready by the time we lost line of sight.
Smokescreen set. Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal alert. All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
Similar to the Atlanta, the Flint's highlighting 7.2 second base 180 degree turret traverse rivals and is actually better than most destroyers. And you'll see in this next part, even though I momentarily hesitated in deciding who to shoot, I was still capable of capitalizing on early game cruiser versus destroyer matchups. Earlier, I mentioned about the 9 battleships easy shot opportunities. As I was capitalizing on these destroyers, I was keeping track of the battleships on the minimap and made sure to make random course adjustments, not only for the destroyers, but also for the battleships. That was a solid course adjustment, and I probably saved myself from damage, and even a potential citadel hit. Here, you can see how fragile the Flint is in this engagement against the Fletcher. Had the Fletcher not started this engagement with a handicap, I probably would have sustained more than 6k damage, especially if I showed even a little bit more by broadside.
We've sunk an enemy destroyer.
Bang, bang, bang. 3 up, 3 down. 3 cruiser versus destroyer engagements that I capitalized on. Seeing as how the enemy was going to cap C flag and then potentially make their way to B, this was a great opportunity for me to area deny with my 9.2 kilometer torps. And understanding that the Mogami was going to be in line of sight soon, I was fortunate enough to have a smoke ready and will preemptively queue it up to try to save my HP for a future fight.
Smokescreen set.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
Torpedoes astern.
Again, with the flag advantage on our side, and given the layout of the terrain, we are able to area deny B flag with torpedoes and put ourselves in a win-win position at this juncture of the matchup. If they push, we have the better focus fire opportunities, and if they do not push, just let the flags do their part and we'll win through attrition. For those of you that played in Ranked Season 4, this map was frequented in the tier 6 to 7 bracket, and the tactics just described was used almost ubiquitously.
Concentrate fire on the enemy warship. All stations, concentrate fire on the target. All stations, reporting the position of a strategic target.
With the enemy team consisting only of 4 battleships and a cruiser left in this late game situation, we own the map control and can simply trade from here on out. And of course, with my final smoke almost available, this is a great opportunity for me to rack up the damage by getting some battleships on fire. Earlier, I mentioned that the Flint had access to further tactical considerations relative to the Atlanta, and that's the timing attack afforded to you by the excellent US smoke. Given the right situation and the proper use of smoke, you can create a timing attack interval and exemplify the Flint's DPS glory. It's here where we get to witness how ridiculous the Flint can be in a pure DPS situation.
Smokescreen set.
Our victory is in sight.
Keep in mind, however, on a strategic level, this is not something I will prioritize. I can shoot a battleship all game, and it will have relatively low impact on the direction of the match. Or I can harass the enemy team's DDs, and that will put my team in a winning situation. It's for this reason that I personally feel the Flint and Atlanta are more or less capable of the same objectives. Strategically, you function similarly, and as a cruiser, play your role and find those early game cruiser versus destroyer matchups. And tactically, although the Flint does have access to better engagement options, in this particular replay, everything I did in the Flint, I could have done in the Atlanta. In the early game against the DDs, I positioned properly and minimized my exposure, and in fact would have used radar to sink the Loyang and Sims. In the mid game, instead of camping at B flag, I would have preempted torpedoed the Mogami and retreated away, and in the late game, against the battleships, I would have stayed inside the mouth of the island and waited to get in range to high angle salvo the Izumo and Turpis that was chasing the Iowa. Would you look at that? No Kraken. I actually achieved a couple Krakens in the Flint in other gameplays, but felt this replay was a better demonstrative representation of the matchups you can encounter in the Flint and or Atlanta, and what your expectations should be. So I hope you guys do not kill me for that. Hopefully it was an enjoyable video, and maybe you captains even picked up some of the potential cruiser tools you can add to your gameplay. I'll be going back to carriers in my next video. So until then, this is Boom Shaka Boxer, signing out.